Welcome to Season 3 of Trap Talk.
Brought to you by Craigoff, the choice of champions.
Welcome back, Trap Talk listeners. I'm your host, Zach Nannini. I'm here with my co-host, Richard Marshall Jr. It's Friday while you guys are listening. It's Wednesday where we're at, but it's a good day. How's it going, Ricky?
You know, another day. Weather seems to be warming up a little bit here in Nebraska. I think tomorrow's supposed to be like 80.
Yeah, I can't help but say I'm looking forward to the warm weather. What's so hard is when you live in the Midwest and it's cold, and then you hop on a plane and you go to Florida or you go to Tucson and you're like, oh, it's all nice and warm, and then you come back and you're like, what the hell is this crap? I'm not interested in this, you know. And
I'm telling you, these weather change. I mean, you could see, you know, I got a nice shooter's tan.
yeah, you got that. Yeah, I got the same thing going on. It's a little bit bad, but we're rolling it.
Yeah, it's weird, you know. We've been traveling around, and you know, I've been doing lessons now. I'm just getting ready to, you know, full swing next week. I'll be over in Indiana teaching. Got some private stuff going on for a couple days, and then a group lesson one day, and then stopping back in
Indiana. In Indiana, are you getting with Nathan Hall's group, or what are you?
Yeah, I'm doing a private lesson with Nathan Hall and his son and a friend. And then I've got a family that I'm doing a private group lesson with them up at Indiana Gun Club. And then I'll be at Indian Creek Shooting Center, which is Jason and Wanda Sites down in Georgetown, Indiana, right outside Louisville.
I see.
So I might venture over across the bridge to check out any good bourbon picks, you know.
Yeah, you got to make a little travel and make it worth your time, right?
Exactly. So looking forward to that. That's always a good trip down there. You know, they're Jason and Wanda's club. Indian Creek's a great little gun club. So, but yeah, so I'll be there, and then I'll be at Indiana Gun Club. So I'll have to, you know, I'll talk with Michael Gooch. I think he'll be back home. We'll give them a shout out for their cases. You know, he gave away the new gun cases he's designed.
Yeah, it's I think it's Dead Pair
gun cases.
Dead Pair gun cases, I think it is.
Yep.
And you know, I looked at them, and this is me speaking off the cuff because I haven't even talked to Gooch about it, and I haven't even really seen him other than just, you know, in passing. But I mean, it looks like he did a really good job of duplicating the Americase, and like I was so sad that Americase was gone because like I felt like they made the best case for flying, in my opinion. You know, the Pelican cases are great too, but the problem is they're so big. Like I've had those big old bulky Pelican cases, and with that Americase, you know, it kind of just fits in there and goes. And with what he's doing, it's very similar to that look. You know, it seems like it holds everything you need and it locks real well. So, you know, I think you know, kudos to him for, you know, getting it done and making it and bringing it to the marketplace. You know, I'm gonna need one here one of these days because my old Americase is about run its life course.
Your old Americase looks like you found it at the recycled center.
Hey, it's been to Dubai. It's been on 300 or 400 flights. It's been to Dubai. I mean, that thing has gone all around, and it's the same case, and it's just been getting tossed and beat and tossed and beat. But that just shows the testament of how long they last. You know, I've been flying with that case since 2009. 2009.
So I used one for years, and then I went to the Tough Pack.
Yeah, and I see that Tough Pack. That looks cool too. I like that.
I like it. I actually like the Tough Pack for me, especially when it's Tyler and I going to shoots and such. I can put both guns in there. It's one deal.
When you put two guns in there, how close are you to the weight?
Well, I fly on United usually.
So you get higher. You get a higher number.
Yeah,
so you could put. So you could put more stuff in there too. You could put
70 pounds.
You could put glasses and all that other stuff in there.
I don't put any. Here's the one thing, folks. I will tell you: I never put shooting glasses in a gun case.
What do you put in your gun case?
They go in my backpack.
Yeah, and I tend to be the same way because then if the gun doesn't show up, at least you have your shooting glasses. And for you, it's even more important because they're prescription. At least for me, I can just go buy another pair of glasses and get through it. But for you, I mean, you can't see nothing. I mean, you're all messed up. But
Well, I can
but
still see. Don't
that
you worry.
yeah, I'm gonna smash them things and see how you do. Well,
I've done that once myself, so I don't need no help.
so what do you put in that tough pack? I mean, do you put your shooting
So
bag and stuff in
normally,
there, your vest and stuff, or no?
only my top. Yeah, I'll put a couple pairs of shoes in there. Rain shoes. Raincoat, pants. My shooting bag because I just use a Fiocchi small bag or a Cabela's camouflage bag. I can fold it up, put it in there. My vest, whatever else I want to put in there. Um, Occasional bottle of bourbon, slide it in there in the airbag, and
You throw some cigars in there, and you got ATF, baby. You just throw it
yeah,
all in. I like it.
yeah. So, but yeah, I like it. But going back to the cases that Gooch is making, I won two of them at the Florida at the Southern Grand. He
Southern
gave
Grand,
one
yeah.
away for the all around and one away from the overall, and so I was gracious enough to win those and talk to him, and he was going to ship them to me. I'm actually going to call him today and just tell him, hey, I'm going to be there next week. Save on the shipping, and I'll just pick them up.
Well, if he was able to see this live, he would know. But we're a little bit
So,
delayed, so might as well give him a call. But
yeah.
so what we're here to talk a little bit about the Southern Grand. We just
Yep.
did the Spring Grand recap, and now we want to recap the Southern Grand. And honestly, for me, between the Spring Grand and the Southern Grand, I always love going down to Florida just because it's so beautiful. Not that Tucson isn't a great place to go to, but you go to Tucson and you've got the desert. And the desert is the desert. And
Yeah.
food is food is okay in Tucson, Arizona, but I find
Tell you
that
what, that taco shop that Rich
Tacos
took me
Aspen.
to,
Yeah, Tacos Aspen. Yeah. That's a shout out back to Tucson. But
yeah,
for like actually fresh seafood and, warm weather and, green grass and trees and everything like that. And the more feel of a vacation,
yeah,
Florida's just so relaxing. And
it
I
is.
always have a good time going down to the Dollar. I always see a lot of people there, with the way they have, the people living on the grounds. There's a lot of, barbecues, and there's a lot of cookouts, and there's a lot of, a lot of cocktail hour going on because everybody's there. I mean, most of the people are always there at the gun club, just kind of having a great time. So,
All right, folks, we got to take a quick second and give a huge shout out to our title sponsor, Craigoff. Me and Ricky both shoot them. We both love them.
Yeah, best gun in the industry. I shoot them, I sell them. Nothing better, folks. Get yourself a Craigoff, your scores will increase.
Yeah, I mean, Ricky's got hundreds and hundreds of hundreds with his. I mean, I've got a few hundreds, but I'm always working to get a little bit better, and they definitely help me, that's for sure. So on top of that, we also got to thank Winnig. I'm wearing the shirt today. Love this shirt. If you're down at the Grand, pick one up.
Yeah, winning, like I said, Zach, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds with my winning stock. Get a hold of Bobby, Luke, Bill, get an appointment set up. They will make you a better shooter with that winning stock.
Of course, yeah, the Grand's the great place to do it. Give them a call, get on their book. It's worth your time.
Just remember, winners shoot winnings.
With that being said,
Let's get back to the show.
so getting into the shoot, Ricky, how many years have you been going down to the Dollar?
Since I was 21.
Okay.
So now I did miss a couple years in there. I know, was it 23 we missed going down? I missed going down, I think, at 23. Was that when we went to Dubai? I think we missed both shoots or something.
I don't remember which one, but you did miss one here a few years ago for some reason.
Yeah, I can't remember.
I didn't know. Was it Florida? Didn't you go to Arizona State?
That's what it was. Yes, because we were helping
testing white flyer targets.
The new white flyer targets. Yep.
Which was a few years ago. I went to Southern, and you went to the Texas or to Tucson for the Arizona State shoot.
For the Arizona State.
But that's what it was. But
yep.
We had a great squad. Our squad was me, you, Herbie Lewis, Tyler, and Joey Charnago. And between all of us, I mean, we all got some hardware. So I mean, it was a pretty good showing. It's nice when everyone on the squad wins something, at some level, which is always a lot of fun. But I guess, what is your overall opinion of the way the shoot is run at the Silver Dollar, the target presentation, the trophies? Like, what do you think overall look for people that haven't been?
for a Southern Grand, they give the most amount of trophies away as far as like every handicap is champ through 10th place. Which, people want to win trophies. Um, the target presentation, Florida can be a tough place to shoot,
Yeah,
but I've always enjoyed going down there because of everything you can do besides just shooting.
correct.
Shooting's my life. Shooting's your life too, you know. Um, and there's other stuff to do. I'm a big baseball fan, go Yankees. Um, and I'm fortunate to, Tyler goes down with me every year. Trey used to come. Now he's got a real job and
Yeah.
can't get away. But we always try to go to some spring training games. And, I made it to one this year. Was trying to get to another one, but with shoot offs and stuff, just couldn't make it work. But I think the dollar, Bill Miller, the manager, they do a good job. Diane runs the
The
counter.
counter, yeah.
Belinda, she's working the counter. All the office ladies in there, they drew a tremendous job signing up.
They do a great job. I think there's some differences with the dollar that that I'd like to discuss. The one thing that I know at the dollar is it's probably the most fair place to shoot in the country in my mind because of the bank draw system. I mean, I've never seen anybody draw for banks the way that the dollar does and not expose it. Usually, most of the stuff is in rotation where it's just if you're on squad 10, you're just kind of moving left to right every day,
Yeah.
moving through. But at the dollar, for people that haven't been there, there's the gun club side and there's the golf club side. So basically you're shooting, in my opinion, two different gun clubs completely. I mean, two different backgrounds, two different traps, two different sets, two different everything. And I mean, and this is in your words, Ricky, not, no judgment, but would you say that there's a side that favors higher scores one way or the other? I mean, if you were to pick and you were to say, hey, it's Sunday's championship, where do I want to shoot? Since nobody can try to pick the bank anyway, and it's random, what side do you think is better?
I personally don't get that in my mind. Okay. When you go to the dollar, I've broke 100 in handicap at the dollar years ago at the Southern Grand. I don't remember what year it was, a long time ago, but and I broke some 98s and 99s on the golf side. A lot of people say the golf side's a lot tougher to shoot because of the background. And there is so years ago when we used to shoot on the very furthest east side of the golf side, used to shoot over the swamp, the par 3 course. Now they used it this year. They had closed that, the one trap, so listen, every day we looked, oh, we're on bank 7. Oh, we're on bank 10. Oh, we're on bank 4.
I never thought in my head, okay, I can't win because I'm on this bank.
If you do that, and that's the problem that I'm seeing, and I hear a lot at the dollar, is people talk about that.
They're like, oh, I can't win today because I'm on bank 10 or I'm on bank 9 or I'm on bank whatever. And I think that you need to eliminate that thought from your mind. The mentality is you can win anywhere you shoot. All right, folks, we got to take a real quick break and acknowledge the official target of the ATA, White Flyer. They've been sponsoring us since the beginning, and they make a great target. What do you think, Rick?
It's the best target in the ATA. Shout out to everybody there, all the reps, Bill Daniels, Josh Taylor, Nick Arnold, Robert Crow, everything they do for the sport and all the shoots. Really appreciate it.
They're always there. They're always trying to make a better target, and they're always supporting the game that we love so much. With that being said,
let's get back to the show.
I will say, for me, just looking at the background, I like the background on the gun club side just because you don't have people walking out in front of you. I mean, I remember last year Rich Bullard, I think he was shooting with, wasn't he shooting with Tyler, Rich and Tyler? So a couple years ago, and he's like, there was an alligator out there, and then there was like
alligator and the turkey
and a turtle, and they're just walking around, and you're just like going to shoot. And I mean, this is like right in front of you. I mean, alligator, turtle, and then if you look a couple hundred yards past that, you've got guys wearing neon shirts. They've got orange and green and these hats, and they're all loud, and you're just like, wow, what the hell's going on here? And golf carts and moving. So I think, depending on where your frame of mind is, there's a lot going on the golf course side. I think target presentation wise, as far as setting and the machines, I don't think there's much difference. I mean, I don't think the target that comes out of the house and hits the air is a lot different on the golf course side as it is the gun club side. I just think you're looking into a completely different background. So
here's the thing I'll say about that. I don't care what the background is. I'm not looking at the background. If you fixate on a background, folks, you're going to miss targets because your mind is not where it should be. You're
not looking at the bird.
Exactly. So JT Spangler shot with us, our buddy JT. And, the one you're shooting on the golf side, he's like, he had to wait. And I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, a guy in the pink shirt out there. And I'm like,
what guy?
600 yards away. What the heck? Kind of laughing.
Yeah. I think people can get fixated on specific things. And once it's in your head and you're looking at it, it's like you say, don't look at it. Well, that makes you want to look at it more. Exactly. It's like when somebody says, don't think of a pink elephant. What's the one thing you think of? A pink elephant, right? It's how the mind works when you try to push things out of there. But overall, I think, from Monday to Sunday when we shot it, this was a really good shoot. We had some days where the wind was bad. I think the first day, the day that you came in and you didn't shoot, was the worst day.
Yeah, Tuesday on.
Yeah, me and Joey shot Monday, and on Monday we got to shoot in the rain and we got to shoot in the wind. And I know you came and watched us shoot the doubles.
I did. I was there in support.
Yeah, you were emotionally there, but me and Joey are out there banging these doubles, and people are watching us and they're like, what the hell's going on here? Because I mean, these things were coming out and then they were just getting sucked to the dirt, just getting pulled down to nothing. And Joey ended up breaking. I broke an 8. Joey broke a 9, and he had a lone 9. I had a lone 8. And then I don't even know if there was a 7. I think it went to 6s.
I think the 6s was next.
So they were pretty good, scores. And I ended up missing on like my last post. I had a first target, it just sucked out of the air. But at the end of the day,
going back that day, so I flew in on Sunday night. I came from teaching at Dixie Trap Club in Alabama, and met Tyler in the airport in Atlanta. And then we jumped on the flight to Tampa.
Atlanta.
Yeah, Hotlanta. And we got in at
the land of Rory Lee.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. And we got in at it was like 1 something because our flight was delayed leaving out of Atlanta, which is fine, no big deal. Okay, you then get my gun. Waiting on that. Finally it comes, and by the time we got the rent-a-car, which we got down there, and shout out to Enterprise. I use them a lot, but
looking for a new show sponsor.
Yeah, exactly.
Shameless plug.
Yeah. I get down there.
We'll take cars.
Yeah. The guy's like, well, you got an SUV, it was a Nissan Rogue, blah, blah, blah. I said, you got anything better? And he's like, go pick out of that row. And I was like, okay. When look, an Audi Q7, perfect. Got in, we got to the house, because I rent, a house there on the property, got into it. And by the time I got everything done, and it was
4:30, you texted me.
It was 4:24 when I texted you and said, I will not be partaking in any shooting today.
So I wake up the next day and our full squad is a 2-man squad, and now it's raining. And I'm like, all right, this is great, because Herbie hadn't went and shot somewhere else because he knew you were going to leave, so he just was smart and just bailed. He just got on his life jacket and jumped out of the plane and said, see you guys. And he was supposed to be the guy helping everybody off the plane at the emergency exit. You know how that is, right? Can't count on him. So he's gone, you're gone, Tyler's gone. It's just me and Joey, and we're looking at each other like, hey, I guess we're just shooting with all our friends today, and that's just what it was.
All right, Trap Talk listeners, let's take a couple seconds and thank a couple more sponsors. First of all, Remington's been with us since day one. I've been shooting these shells since 2007. I shoot the Nitro 27 from the 27-yard line, ounce and eighth, 7.5, and STS ounce and eighth, eighths for singles and doubles. They've worked great for me, as they do a lot of top shooters all around the country. Give them a try. Don't forget the Gun Club line when you're practicing and you're wanting to save a little bit of money.
We'd also like to thank another sponsor, Outlaw Engineering. Randy Freston, R2. I've known Randy since 1988. They do engineering, surveying, drafting, GIS, civil, structural, land development, wetland permitting. They do it all.
And they're friends of trap shooters. I mean, they're a trap shooting family. They've been in the ATA forever. His dad's been involved. They're involved. They're a beautiful family. They're great people. And we just love that they listen to the show, and we love that they support Trap Talk.
Yeah, his dad was past president in 1989. So I really want to thank those guys for the support. I really appreciate it here at Trap Talk.
With that being said,
let's get back to the show. It's so funny, Tyler, that I got Tyler up and I said, hey, are you going to get up and shoot? And he's like, Dad, I said,
he's out.
And not a big deal. And then Joey says, yeah, Zach said that I was going too fast. I said,
we shot that first box of handicap and it took us 3.5 minutes. And I'm like, this is incredible. Like, it was just like bam, 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 bam. It was like the quickest ever. And I said, oh, Jesus Christ, this is horrible. Like, I need to slow down. And, there's no slowing Joey down. He just, slow Joe Charnago goes about as fast as anybody in the world. And I mean, it wasn't affecting him as bad as it was affecting me. But like, he broke like a 21 or a 22. So it wasn't like his best showing of, because we were going so fast that I think when you're going that fast, and this is just my own personal opinion, you don't really have time to let your eyes recover at all. I think you need a second to let your eyes kind of, because you're like looking so hard. And at some point you're like, okay, I need a second to let my eyes just settle back down, because you're just constantly getting after it. But
you can get by doing that, I think, in singles.
Yeah.
Handicap.
Not so much.
Well, and it's a prime deal. And we'll talk about this later in the show, but with that, going fast and such. But
I think there's an opportunity, because when I did it, I think there's an opportunity for going to the practice trap by yourself and testing the limits of what your speed is. I actually thought about that and wanting to do that and just kind of say, okay, how fast can I go? How slow can I go? Just to know where I'm at, because you have to have your timing. You have to have your timing. No. He shakes his head. No.
No. Because here's what happens. When you get wrapped up in timing, you want to shoot when you're ready. That's trigger control.
Well, that's what I mean. But at the end of the day, when you go and you say, okay, I'm going to practice. If I'm going to be shooting off by myself in the future, and you haven't trained for that, you haven't spent some time to say, okay, because I think a lot of people, they're used to shooting on a 5-man squad. They've never practiced by themselves. They go out in a shoot off by themselves because of yardage differences. And then they're rushing through to get through the box instead of being ready. And I think at the end of the day, you have to know what ready is, because I've watched you shoot by yourself and you're not rushing. You're just kind of like, okay, I'm ready. Okay, I'm ready. Okay, I'm ready.
You watch an individual that shoots the same way they shoot on a 5-man squad or the same way they shoot by themselves at a practice round. Dagan Voigtman.
He's the same.
If you watch, and it's literally, if you count it, it's about the same as shooting with a 5-man squad. And that's just that's how he practices, that I've seen, so I would just say is when you're shooting short squads, because I've been on them before too, where it's been 2-man, 3-man. I've actually shot some pretty good scores in handicap on a shorter squad. I'd rather have a 4-man minimum to a 5-man. And that's why, I gave you sufficient time, I felt. 4 hours.
Yeah, 4 hours notice. We were able to fill real quick. But
hey, I wanted to shoot. I really did. And I woke up at like 9 o'clock. I couldn't see the TV in the bedroom, which was
he was all messed up. He needed his beauty sleep. He wasn't gonna win that day, so he just says, I'm out. It is what it is.
I should have practiced. So hey, I should have shot with, considering now when we shot Tuesday, went out, we shot the singles, I broke 100 in the singles. Do you remember what you had?
No. Yo, I had 100. Yeah,
Are
I
you
had
sure?
100 too. We both tied. Yeah,
We
because
had
we went 100. We went 100 on Tuesday and 100 on Wednesday. We both broke the first 200 singles, and then I missed in the championship because I broke the class.
okay. Well, you broke. I broke on Tuesday because that we only shot 300 singles in the overall.
We shot well.
In the overall, 1,000 targets. We only shot
There was
300.
400 singles shot all week.
Yeah, but 300 in the overall. So you broke the first 100.
Yep.
Yeah, we did break those two. Yeah, I guess we did because that didn't include the overall.
Monday was doubles. Okay, so Monday was doubles. You didn't shoot. Tuesday had singles, and Wednesday had singles, and we both broke those. Okay.
Okay. And Wednesdays
and I believe that there was 400 singles in the overall because 200 on Saturday and those other two, and everything counted on Tuesday.
Now.
Well, I'm just.
And it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. No. Yeah. So we got Wednesday, and then we got Thursday, and then we got So Wednesday on was the overall. So Tuesday, yeah, we did break the singles Tuesday, but Wednesday is when we started the overall, and that's when we shot handicap, right?
Correct.
Because I broke 88 in the handicap.
Yeah, and I think I broke 87 or 88. I mean, it was right around there. It wasn't
86.
pretty. 80, yeah, something like that. You don't remember those stellar numbers when you,
I
you try to put.
I remember the 88 because I shot over and in front of 11 targets, and I was like, I'm gonna have to slow this down. And it was coming from shooting off the springs in Tucson to those, and then I was like, okay, well then I figured it out.
All right, Trap Talk listeners, we got to take a real quick break, and I've got something that I'm so excited to announce. Trap Shooting USA has now become the official magazine of the Trap Talk podcast.
No, it's not only Trap Shooting USA now. It's Wing and Clay Life, Lady Outdoor Lifestyles, and Clay Shooting USA.
I'm just really excited because they make such a high quality magazine. I mean, if you guys haven't had these magazines and you actually get to touch them in your hands, they've got really thick paper, they're really glossy, and they keep it really cool. I mean, I just love it.
The Traveling Gunsmith, and then in this newest episode, we have.
Oh man, look at those handsome guys. I love this. I love it. So also on top of that, Outdoor Pursuits Media, Matt, he's decided that he's going to give away a shotgun at the Grand American this year at our live podcast studio. If you weren't there last year, you missed out. You need to be there this year. It's going to be great. The only thing you have to do is either renew or subscribe to any one of these magazines, and you're going to be in for the drawing for the gun. And we're going to have all that information in the future. Just look out for it, and we'll keep you updated for sure.
With that, let's get back to the show.
Let's take a minute and just stop right there and talk about this. If you've been shooting targets that are faster and you go to a target that you feel is slower, like I've always been under the impression, and this is just how me and you shoot, we push through the target. You see the target, you push through the target, you have follow through in the target, you're picking that target line. Now the target's a lot slower. Are you trying to adjust the speed of the way you move the gun to compensate for that? Or are you changing anything, or are you just letting your body just kind of naturally figure out what it needs to be? Like what's the adjustment?
I drive through it and match gun speed, barrel speed with target speed. And my calculations weren't adding up on that first handicap.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Remember, I was down.
You were long on everything, right?
Oh,
so when you're long on everything, you go back and say, okay, I need to push less hard because.
Well, I need to look at it a little better, and it wasn't streaking.
Because I think most people, and this is just my opinion, I think most people pretty much go at a target the same way no matter what. Whether it's 40 miles an hour or 44 miles an hour or whatever in between. I feel like people say, well, this is my move, and this is the move I make to the target no matter what, right? I think the really good shooters are adjusting the move based on the target. Would you agree with that? I mean, would you agree that if you're shooting a faster target, gun speed is probably going to be a little bit higher?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're gonna want to move the gun faster, where a lot of people don't do that. They just try to shoot it the same way.
Correct.
Yeah.
Because after we found the speed of the targets, the score started getting better, right? It's like, okay.
20, 23, 22, 23. And on that 20, I was down 5 targets in the first 11.
Oh, I remember.
Remember, because I ran the last 50, and I was like,
You were taking 3 posts, and I'm like, I could get used to this. I hope this lasts all week. It didn't. It lasted about 1 box. He's just too tough. You can't keep that big bastard down. That's the one thing I've learned. He just gets back up.
The Florida with 1,000 target overall, you can't screw up
too much.
And I was down 12 targets in the handicap.
You picked the right day to screw up the first day, because then you spent the rest of the week climbing out of the hole, but that's kind of how you do it. You always kind of just you just jump into that freaking hole, and then you come scowling out at the end, and it's like the cockroaches are left after the nuclear apocalypse, right? You can't get rid of Ricky.
The doubles helped. I went 98, 99, 100, and the doubles. That helps. I broke all the singles there. And then of course, Sunday's handicap, I broke a 7, had 397 in the all around.
That was huge. Yeah. And we'll just kind of speak on that. I mean, I was most impressed. If I was to say, well, what impressed me that week, it was your 397 out of 400 in the all around, because it wasn't even close. What was the next closest score to you?
Canals was runner up with a 394, and then our squad mates Joey and Herbie had 393s.
Yeah, so we're talking you didn't even have to fire at the last few targets, right? You're ahead, above and beyond, and it helps when you don't miss anything up close. You were fortunate enough to run the doubles, you were fortunate enough to run the singles, and then you got the good handicap on Sunday, which we can all try to say we're going to shoot a big handicap on Sunday, but I think of the things that you can control the singles and the doubles a little bit more. But the handicap, it's just your day or it's not your day, because I've seen you have your day where you're just like pounding them, and then you've gone into that day 300 straight, and it just something wasn't jiving, and you just didn't quite punch the score you needed.
All right, folks, we got to take a quick second and give a shout out to the Cardinal Center in Marengo, Ohio. They hold the Cardinal Classic, and they also hold the Ohio State Shoot, which is home of the first back fence shootout. Ricky, what do you think about Ohio?
Listen, I love the Cardinal Center. I actually broke the first 100 from the 27 there at their very first shoot ever. Great place, Jake Spangler and their whole clan there. They do an awesome job at running the shoots. The Ohio State Shoots ran by the Ohio State Association. The Cardinal Classic's right after the Grand, so if you're looking for some more points right after the Grand, hit that up so you can get a little more points than old Zach here. But listen, it's a great shoot. Great facility.
It really is. I personally love the RVs. They've got great camping there. They've got a great time, good shoot, good target presentation. Go check it out. It's worth putting on your list. With that being said,
let's get back to the show. This shoot, it's always fun for me. Of course, Tyler got to come. It's his spring break. So, I get to shoot with him, and, he's graduating high school this year, going off to college. So who knows how much more, shooting together we'll get to do, except for the summer times, possibly.
Yeah.
Depending on if he does internships, that's his choice. I said, "Oh, he's off the tee." Mom said, "Oh no, help." I'm like, "What the heck?" But
you got to kick him out. He's got to learn somehow.
But we had a great time. It was me, Tyler, Herbie, you, and not so slow Joe.
Yeah,
and
Joey's
squad. We all were right there in every event, hammering targets.
Well, yeah, I think we won a trophy almost every event we shot. Between the squad, we were winning something every event, which is really, really cool. And then, the other highlight of the week for me, it was impressive watching you shoot, but I think the most impressive score I seen all week was Joey's 99 on Sunday. That was just
and then run the last 94.
He missed number 6, ran 94 straight. And folks, I got to tell you, it wasn't like we were in a bluebird day. We had a south wind, and there was birds that you would catch, and they would just drop out of the sky completely.
Or jump straight up.
Correct. And so, when we're shooting this event, you're thinking to yourself, if you have a 6 or better, you're a freaking hero, right? If I wouldn't have known that Joey broke the 99 or Schaefer broke the 98, I would have said Ricky's going to be in the clubhouse with that 7 looking pretty strong. But if you've got anomalies, right? Anomalies, those anomaly scores that just came in, and we were on the bank, I think bank 4 or bank 5.
We were on
and,
bank 4, and we followed Schaefer's squad.
And Schaefer broke an 8. We seen him break an 8.
Right in front of us. And when he walked off, Joey was down 1. I was down 2. Tyler was down 3. Herbie was down 3. Yeah, Herbie was down 3. And then, I was just like, okay, let's, we're all down. We're right there. And I looked at Joey,
I was down. I think I was down 5, and I ended up breaking a 94. So it wasn't a bad
93.
93, 94.
And because Herbie broke 94. But so I just looked at Joey and I said, keep hammering them, and we all, that was where me, Joey, Tyler, and Herbie ran the third box.
Correct.
And you missed one. So that was dinner.
Yeah, dinner. Somebody saved me, though. Somebody saved me. I wasn't the only one that missed.
No, because Tyler run the middle 50, and I run the third box, and Joey run them, and Herbie run them.
Man, I was the only one.
He missed. Maybe Herbie was down.
No,
2.
I think Herbie missed and saved me. I didn't get hung because I thanked him. I said, "Hey, thank you for not letting me get dinner on the deal." You'll have to look it up, but I digress. It was great shooting that you won the overall. Obviously, you had the 971 out of 1,000 the overall. When we get to
You are correct. I do have the score sheet, folks. I ran them. Tyler ran them. Herbie missed 1. You missed 2. And then Joey ran them. And then you missed 3 on the last trap. Or no, I take that back. You ran the last trap.
That's what I thought. But you know what? Hey, it is what it is.
Yeah, because, I missed the 5th one. And then, but the best thing in my opinion,
I said it took me all week to finally figure out what I needed to do to handicap. I punched a 25 and I said, "Oh yeah, shoot's over. Thanks for coming."
But for me, backing up the singles championship, breaking the 200 in tough conditions. Tyler standing there right next to me, broke a 198.
Mm-hmm.
And he was second high. Herbie broke 199. And then Tyler had 198. He was third high, and I think you and Joey had
196s.
196s.
Yeah, we tied. Me and Joey were not having a great singles day. I got in the Joe Charnigo timing of where I wanted to break the target, and they weren't quite breaking for me. But the good news, they weren't breaking for him either. So it was just like a bad day to be spot shooting.
But it was good for me. There was me and Jack Knaus and Mitchell Lovelace.
Correct.
And the deuces.
And I watched that shoot off. We were there, and Jack missed on the first box.
He missed on the first box.
But you and Mitchell win 125.
125 more. We ended up shooting 150 total. But during that, Tyler was in a 4-way shoot off, him and 3 other junior shooters for junior champion. And I was actually watching it while we were shooting off. There was a trap between us. And Mitchell even said to me, he goes, "Were you watching him?" And I said, "Yeah."
That's what I tell you, folks. Mr. Focus over here. He doesn't think about much until he starts moving the gun. Now, once that gun hits his face, he's able to focus. But anything outside of that, he could be thinking about anything in the world, and it's crazy. I don't know how he does it.
Frank Oppie used to say, the only time you got to pay attention was when you mount that gun.
That's it.
That's it.
And if you pay attention when that's going on, you're gonna have a good time. All right, Trap Talk listeners, we got to take a quick break, and we got to welcome a new sponsor to the show, RGS Bore Stripper. It's a great product. Ricky, tell them how they can find it.
Go to their website, rgsguncleaner.com. You can get the 1 8-ounce bottle, free shipping, 2 8-ounce bottle, and you get the 2-ounce travel bottle, and it's free shipping also. Or just get the little 2-ounce bottle for travel.
Yeah, they sent me some of this product, and I used it on my Krieghoff choke tubes the other day, and it got the plastic out like in a minute, and it was super cool and super good. So if you like cleaning your gun, you like eliminating plastic, and you like shiny bores, give them a try for sure. Thank you so much for supporting the show.
Yeah, we'd really like to thank John Weber, the owner, for the support. He's doing an awesome job.
Yeah, we really want to thank John. We appreciate the support of the show. Anybody that supports Trap Talk, you guys need to support them and get this stuff because it's awesome.
And with that, let's get back to the show. So then, we went out back out, me and Mitchell. Mitchell's like, well, we could watch it and wait. And we did for a little bit, and then we started. But Tyler ended up winning the junior championship. So that was, cool for him. And since he hadn't shot since Nevada State shoot at all, 0 trap targets till Tuesday morning. But one of the things, that was cool. And then me and Mitchell, of course, carried over till the all-around.
Yeah.
Because the
Which
time
obviously you won that. I mean, geez.
Yeah, I was fortunate for that. But the best part of the shoot, though, folks, is we need to talk about spot shooting, why it's not a good idea in doubles on your first shot.
Yeah.
Our buddy, Not So Slow Joe, who we call Bang Pole now.
Yeah, it's Bang Pole.
See him, just call him Bang Pole.
Well, he had a 98 in doubles, and I don't know if it was Wednesdays or Thursdays doubles. It wasn't the championship doubles, but he had 98 in doubles, and he missed the last target out. And what was so hilarious is
Thursdays doubles.
Thursdays doubles. There it is.
Yeah,
and
96.
And Joey calls pull. Nothing comes out of the house. The gun goes off. Then the target flies by, and then he says something that's not as kosher as we would say, and then he breaks the second target right about where most people break the first target. So he went lost dead on the pair.
49 on the 550 for a 96.
And I'm like, oh my God, I've never seen anybody in my life ever shoot ahead of the target's not in the air, pull, bang, and
the targets came out, and then whack, he shoots the second one, and I was like,
yeah, that second one,
choice words in between the shots.
Second one got roasted because it was basically like he was shooting a first bird. It was coming out, nothing was in the air yet. But me and Ricky looked at each other and we're like, there was no bird in the air. He could have just reshot the pair. Like it wasn't. He shot, then the bird came out. So, ATA rules, no pair in the air. But once he did that, he was pot committed, and he was going all the way. He had two 7 non-suited, nothing hooked up, and he was pot committed. And I'm like, oh my God, this is not.
I tell you, folks, it was funny though. We had such a great time on the squad, and it was a great time, great shoot. Weather was, even though with the wind, it's always a good shoot. Now we did have on Sunday, after we were done with the handicap, we were second out. I was sitting at the house because I still had to shoot off for the doubles because I broke 100 in the doubles championship that morning myself, Steve Stedman, and Kenny Derrick. And so we were going to have to shoot that off. And
that was a fabulous shoot off. For you all to miss targets in that first box and get to go out and shoot again. It was
getting ahead of yourself because we postponed the shoot till
the next day,
Monday morning.
Yep.
And with the rain, the storms, and I got some video that I'll send John, and maybe he can put it up and show you kind of what the rain was. But it was pretty salty, so they had to postpone Sunday or Monday morning. Well, a lot of people either missed flights or didn't show up, but it. We went out to shoot off the doubles then. And let me just say, I've seen doubles targets. These things were all over the place. And we started, we all had missed within the first 2 posts.
It was everybody was dirty. The only one I seen that shot, because unfortunately, and I don't necessarily agree with this, they put the junior shoot off with you guys and the championship shoot off. Yeah. And I think that they should separate that. I really do. I think, you should have you 3 champions out on one field and everyone else on the other field. But these were some of the saltiest doubles I've ever seen. And everyone missed on the field except Wyatt. He just broke them.
Wyatt broke a stellar 20.
He broke a 20, and I'm like, man, that was probably one of the best 20s I've ever seen. And to give this some perspective, I believe, Ricky, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, you broke a 98, a 99, and 100 in the doubles down there. Is that correct?
Yep.
So in those 40 shots, you missed as many birds. You missed as many birds as you did in the last 300. You took an 18 and a 19, and Stedman broke an 18 on the first round, and then he broke a lone 20 on the second round. And I'm telling you, he broke them good. He broke them good, and it was where they needed to be broke because some of them were just kind of hooking, and I'm like, oh crap! Right when he was about to shoot, it would go and jump off to the left, and he would just give it a little bit more and kind of break it. And I'm
Yeah.
like, you gotta be a good gun pointer to break targets like that. You gotta be able to, to make that extra.
I told Steve, I said, it seemed like every target that jumped up went right into your pattern. He said, yeah, that's the proper way to shoot.
He
And
says,
B
take
was, yeah,
take notes, Ricky.
yeah,
I know how to do this shit.
I've shot with Stedman since I was in my 20s. So, great guy. I was so happy for him to win. I wished I could have won the doubles too, but it is what it is, runner up's better than third. So,
Correct.
But
Yeah,
yeah, it was
you
a
shot
great
well. You
shoot.
shot well, and at the end of the day,
Oh,
you can't win everything all the
oh,
time. And I think it's nice to see. I was happy to see Stedman win because I think he deserves it. I think he's a good guy. He just
oh yeah.
it keeps people going, and it keeps the sport competitive. If one person wins everything all the time, I don't think it's as fun as if somebody that comes in that doesn't always necessarily win all the time and goes and knocks out a big shooter. I
Yeah.
think that's cool. I mean, I really do. I felt really good for not that I didn't want you to win. I mean, but you already won the singles and the overall, the all around, all this other crap. I mean, hey,
You want to
you
try to
could
win
give
it all if you can, but
correct.
All right, folks, we got to take another quick break and thank one of our show sponsors, 73 Pointers Ranch, Jonesburg, Missouri. Rick and Carla Burke, best place in the area to go shoot chuckers and pheasants and have a great time. Rick, we got to get you down there.
Yeah, I need to come in. Hopefully, I can do some hunting with you guys and come to your the annual clay shoot in August, right after the Grand.
It's a lot of fun. It's the Optimist Club charity shoot. They throw a charity shoot. They put it on, and it's wonderful. I think last year they had over 100 entries into it, and it's just a good time. With that being said,
let's get back to the show. That's one of those that, but hey, yeah, I did win the overall. And speaking of that, so this we had a tough squad, all week. So going into the last day, Herbie and I think were pretty close to being tied in the overall, or I might have been up one. But Ryan Glow was right there. Jack Knaus.
Yeah, he shot good. They all shot. I mean,
Oh,
everybody was shooting pretty damn good.
Now you look going into our last 10, Herbie and I were tied in the overall. And and remember Herbie drew some horrible targets.
Oh, he got burned.
It's just one of those that sometimes you're the guinea pig, like we talked about it at Tucson with Glow being the guinea pig on the bad targets. And that's kind of how it was at Florida.
You never know when you're going to get those ones. And I've drawn them before, and it's like, okay, why did I get the bird? And then you're looking over, and the guy you're competing against is not getting them. The guy that you want to beat is getting the draw, and you're like, how the heck is he getting the draw today, and I'm getting hosed? But
that me?
That's you. That's always you, Ricky.
I wish. You. Yeah. No, I was just shooting like Joey. I'm following Joey, and I'm literally seeing a flash and the guns going off of Joey's. And he was shooting them right out of the house. He
shot those things so pure and so fast on Sunday. They didn't have a chance to really get affected by the wind, which I think there's something to be said about that if you can do it. But there's not many people in the world that have the reflexes and the ability to break a target where Joey's breaking the target. I would imagine that, it's very much Britt Robinson-esque, and watching Britt break targets
faster than what Britt shot, to be honest.
And that's fast.
Yeah, I mean, because Joey, but you look at our squad. I mean, Tyler missed 3 out of the first 22, include 2 in a row on the first post. And I thought, come on.
Yeah, he took a 3 post at first post, and I said, well, that's going to suck. And then he just turned it on. I'm like,
and then he missed 2 out of the next 95, breaks 96, runs the middle 50, and I was like, dang,
it happens. I've had 3 posts for 98s before.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it just sometimes it wakes you up, and you're like, I'm not going to do this, and you just get in your head, and you're just like, okay, I'm done missing. And you taught me that a long time ago. You can be done missing. You don't have to just because you take a 21 doesn't mean you need to take 4 of them. You could take 121 and you could run the back 75. There's nothing in the rule book that says you have to keep missing.
No, and that's the one thing but the Southern, we got done there. It's always a great shoot. They try their best down there. Then you guys stayed for the Florida State shoot.
Yeah, and that was the first time I did that. And honestly, shout out to the Florida State shoot. It was a great run shoot. They had a great trophy package. They did something very similar in Nevada. They had these super high overalls for the singles and doubles and handicap, which was basically in state, out of state. Whoever broke the most birds got a buckle, and they were really nice Montana Silversmith numbered buckles. These were probably $300 a piece buckles, based on the way they looked, and they were as beautiful as the ones that they were giving away at the Las Vegas State shoot, because I got to see pictures of both. And so I don't know if they kind of copied that idea or whatever, but good trophies, good targets, good time. We did have that same Florida weather issue where some days it was really windy, and you have to deal with that. Some, scores were a little lower in some of the events, but at the end of the day, you go to Florida to shoot a target that's moving around. You go to Florida to have a good time. You go to Florida to have some good food. I still love going down to the sponge docks. We went down to the sponge docks a few times, and if you haven't been, look up the sponge docks when you go down to Odessa. There's all kinds of restaurants down there, seafood. We love eating the fresh grouper, which is fantastic. But you go down there and you have some good meals. You see some good people. You have some fun, and you move forward.
All right, folks, we need to take a quick second and get to a new show sponsor, Big Red Motorsports. Big Red, they're personal friends of mine, Jason and George Lee, and they're also a personal sponsor of mine.
Now, I'll say this. Ricky looked great driving around in that side-by-side. I got some free rides down at Tucson, the Autumn Grand. I think it's awesome that they deliver all across the country, and obviously they love trap shooters. They love trap shooting, and they're doing a great job.
Listen, they got Can-Am, Kawasaki, CF Moto, Triton trailers. Hit them up. We'll take care of you guys. With that being said,
let's get to the show.
We always have good food, Of course, we went to Bellagio's the one night, and
don't tell anybody about our secret spot. That's just too good,
folks. You need to go to Tony and Nello's. That's in Tierra Verde, and Joey took me and Jody and Tyler down there because Joey had missed his flight. They canceled it, so we went and picked him up, and we went down there, and it's by his buddy Nick's condo down there.
Yeah,
and it's just a little strip mall that you would have no idea, and that food was.
Yeah, it's always good to have good Italian food. I didn't go that far away because you said it was like 45 minutes,
it was an hour, but
Bellagio's in Lutz, I mean, that's a fantastic spot if you can get in there. I mean, JT
Brewing Company, we went there a couple times. They have great food. We did go to Jack's that night, and that was pretty good.
It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. I mean, there's definitely better places and worse places that you could hit up, but the problem is it's being during spring break that you really have to get reservations, or you have to try to get into these places to get in, because otherwise you're just waiting and waiting and waiting, and that becomes an issue. So
and I'd like to go. When we go down to Florida and even Tucson, I like to go to mom and pop places.
100%.
Non-chain places. I don't,
I prefer that. I prefer eating what the locals eat, doing what the locals do. I really, really enjoy that experience.
I remember one year, this goes back 26, 7, 8 years ago, when I was down there, and I stayed with Lucky and Bev Nightingale. And Lucky, Quentin Nightingale, was past president of the ATA. He's, passed on now, rest in peace to him. He's, I got to shoot with him growing up a little bit and had a great time. And he took me to this little mom and pop Greek restaurant in the middle of nowhere. And I'm like, I'm not going to like this. And it was so good. We went back and ate there like 3 more times. And he goes, aren't you tired of it? And I was like, no, because you don't get, everything was fresh. It was just so good. And that's a cool thing, folks. You can, as you've seen on the little updates I did from down there, you can go to spring training baseball games. There's, you've got, theme parks down there. There's all sorts of things to do in the Tampa area. Go early, do a little fishing, whatever you want to do. I mean, but there's so much stuff to do down there. So, it's always a great time, but you got to get signed up and pre-squatted early for the Southern Grand because they limit the amount of squats.
Yeah, yeah, it is full and it is packed, and so that's one thing that you have to consider. It's a full shoot, um, but it's a good shoot, and
It is.
I think if you haven't been to the Southern Grand, I
Yep.
really think it's one you got to put on your list. And I have a friend, Drew Feig, and he, he's made a commitment that he tries a new shoot every year. And so I think if you're somebody that's not like doing 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 shoots a year, I think if you're going to say, okay, I'm going to do one shoot a year or add one shoot a year or try one shoot a year, I think pick different places. If you've already been to Tucson, well then, okay, try Florida once. If you've already been to, Kansas, try Missouri. I just try places that are new places so you can get a different target presentation. You can see a different town. You can eat different food. You can meet different people in different parts of the country. And I've made so many friends by going to new places and new gun clubs. And now I've gone to a lot of gun clubs. I mean, I mean, for me and you, it's getting harder and harder to find places that we haven't been to, but that's just the journey of the last, for me, 20 years. And for you, I mean, what, 35 years now? I mean,
30, going on 38 years.
38 years. So yeah, I mean, basically almost double what I've done. But heck, I mean, in the last 20 years, I've very fortunate to go, 21 years now, a lot of places, a lot of places and see a lot of things. And
Hey, Trap Talk listeners, we got to take a real quick break, and we got to thank Ron Prescott from Mid-State Precious Metals for everything they do for the trap shooting community, coast to coast, for all your gold and silver buying needs. And on top of that, new announcement, they're a sponsor of the 126th Grand American.
Finally, he said it right, folks. Grand American. Yeah, Ron is a great guy. He's a sponsor of the Backfence Shootout at Nevada State Shoot and Ohio State Shoot. And also, we got our gold for our Trap Talk event at Nevada State Shoot. And the 77th annual Nevada State Shoot, they bought all theirs from him. 680 ounces of silver to be exact, folks. You're missing out if you're not there.
That's a lot of silver. And honestly, if you're not buying from Ron, you're probably overpaying. So whether you're buying it for your gun clubs or your shoots or for your personal use, you got to give them a try because they're big supporters of the Trap Shooting Nation. So it's awesome. With that being said,
let's get back to the show. I think next year I'm going to try to make it up to Alaska State Shoot.
That's a good one.
I want to put that on the list. This year I was trying to get out to Montana, and I don't know. I'm still, it's a slim chance, but I'm still trying to
contemplating.
It's the logistics of it is what it is, because you got Iowa State Shoot the next week, and Wisconsin's at same time in both shoots, and it's tough to miss Wisconsin because it's such a well-run shoot.
Yeah. It's hard because at your level with what you're trying to do with the clinics, with the travel schedule, with the squads that you've already got established. Like if you've got consistency and then you're just like, hey, I'm out this year, guys. Well, good luck getting it back again, right? Like you've got it all set up the way you want it. And so that's my thing is if you got a good group of guys that you're running with, it's kind of hard to miss that opportunity in that shoot. We've had, it's very similar to the Southern Grand. Like we've had kind of the same group of guys we've been shooting with for the last few years now. And it's like, okay, this is a really good group of guys. I want to come and make the shoot. So you start not coming and it changes the dynamics of everything. So, but every once in a while you got to make a sacrifice and you got to try new things. So, we go from there.
I think you should go and try to support your local clubs too. The smaller shoots, because without them, the bigger shoots don't happen. I can't do that much just because I, with all the teaching and stuff I do.
Well, yeah, you're already booked 100% of your time with everything you got going on. But, I think the Southern Grand's a great shoot. If you're going to go, book everything far in advance because it is spring break. Remember that if you're flying through Tampa during spring break, you're going to have a little bit extra time. I mean, it's going to take 2 to 3 hours to get through that airport, during spring break, depending on the day and depending on what's going on.
I will say that, TSA pre-check is a very good idea. So I went there on Tuesday. So Jody and Tyler flew out Monday. Tyler was in a shoot off for runner-up in the all-around with Wyatt. Tyler had to leave because he had to fly home for school. He was in a shoot-off, I think, for a handicap also for place. I think he was in for, what was it for, 6th, 7th, and 8th.
Yeah.
And, he had to leave, so he wasn't there for any of it. Well, they got there early enough. They were fine. They didn't check anything. I had to check the guns and then, bags and stuff. Well, I got there 2.5 hours early and I was pre-check. I got through the checking the guns and all that stuff pretty quick because that always goes fast if you know what you're doing. And then I got upstairs and you should have seen the line for just regular and even
Hey, Trop Talk listeners, let's take a quick second to thank a couple more amazing sponsors. SOS Clay's Shoot Management. They're doing a fantastic job. I love the app. I love being able to see everything on my phone instantaneously. It's freaking awesome. Rick, what do you think?
Yeah, Greg Pink and his group over there. I mean, they've got majority of the satellite grands, majority of the state shoots. I think it's 40 plus state shoots they're doing. But the app, honestly, we were doing a little beta testing with that at the Spring Grand. It's awesome. You can see your squad if they paid. You can see your options, your payouts. The whole works at your fingertips. Great deal. They're just
Ricky knew how much money he made before he even got off the line. He was like, hey, I'm buying lunch. I'm like, yeah, good job. We're good to go.
That's
we
right.
also got gun and trophy insurance. I mean, they're the best in the business. I know they're great price. Ricky, you're familiar with them, right?
Yeah, Cole and Larry Cushman been long-time supporters of myself, and I've been a supporter of them, and especially with my college team. We require insurance. It's so fast and easy to sign up and get your insurance in literally 10 minutes. You can have your guns insured, and they're just great. They're great to deal with. Like I said, you can do your trophies also, your wildlife animals and that such, and your guns. It's just a great
It's always good when you're traveling around to have that peace of mind and know that you don't have to worry about losing your stuff forever. And these are expensive things, especially when you got those Craig-offs. You got to keep them insured. So,
exactly.
With that being said,
let's get back to the show.
If you can get TSA pre or clear, I think those are fantastic things to have. When you're traveling a lot for sure. And just knowing the layouts of the airports with Tampa, you have to take a train from the rental car to the main terminal. There's just a lot of extra things that you have to do to get there. And sometimes the TSA can be a little bit slow with handling the X-raying of the guns. And, sometimes they're fast, but it just depends what you're dealing with. And just knowing that, because I think a lot of people, they're like, okay, I fly in and out of this airport all the time. And it's like, it's 1 hour or 1.5 hours. And it's, because Ryan Glow and Jack were flying out that Sunday, and they're like, oh, we'll get there at around 6:30 or 7. Our flight's at 8. And I said, you guys need to get down there. I said, get down there and get through this, because this is spring break and it's moving, and you just don't know until you get there. And I've seen so many people miss flights out of Tampa because of spring break. So just plan ahead. Make sure you pre-squad. Do not show up to that shoot if you don't have a pre-squad, because honestly, it would be horrible to show up there and then not be able to shoot all week long because you can't get a spot, because they only have so much capacity to shoot. They only have so many squads that they're going to let shoot, and they pretty much all fill out every year. So, pre-squad early and ahead and get in on it and go from there. But, with that being said, Rick, I look forward to it. I know we got some shoots coming up. We got a lot of new stuff coming down the pipeline. We got some new sponsors and some new shows that we're going to bring up here in a minute. So I appreciate you doing this recap with me, and we'll definitely see you all again next Friday. I mean, this is another happy Friday of Talking Trap.
Absolutely, guys. Good luck. We'll see you at the next shoot.
And the Trap Talk podcast is brought to you in part by
RM Shooting Clinics. Have Ricky take your game to the next level. If you want to shoot hundreds, give Ricky a call today. Zach Nannini Financial. We believe in putting people first.